Hello, and welcome to You Write, the podcast where creativity meets community.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Matt.
Each week on You Write, we challenge our listeners to write a story in just 30 minutes using 3 of 5 randomly generated words.
It's a fun and fast-paced exercise to spark your imagination and get those creative juices flowing.
We'll read your submissions, offer feedback, and discuss the unique twists and turns of each story.
So whether you're an aspiring author or just love a good tale, You Write is your place to explore the endless possibilities of storytelling.
So grab a Twizzler and a magnifying glass, get comfy, and let's dive into this week's stories.
And remember, the only limit is your imagination and 30 minutes. So let's see what you got.
Yeah!
Why the magnifying glass?
Well, at first I was going to do a Twizzler and a lighter to melt the end of it so you could like scrawl something in the melting candy. But I was like, that's too easy. So I was like, no, a magnifying glass to get it to
so you
catch
need
fire.
Sunlight as well.
Right.
So a Twizzler, magnifying glass, and some
I
good sunlight.
Said, grab a Twizzler, a magnifying glass, and a seat outside in the hot sun. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you scribed many a work in Twizzler?
A couple.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. And it was hard, but
yeah.
Rewarding.
Was it?
Yes.
Okay.
Very. Quite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how you doing?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm doing great, actually.
Oh.
I took a weekend trip to Houston.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's quite the haul.
Oh, I left on Saturday at 5 p.m. and I got back on Monday midnight.
That's a lot of driving.
Yeah.
How long a drive is that?
8 hours.
Okay.
Exactly.
I thought it was closer to 10.
No.
Okay.
Nope. It's 8. You could make it in 7.5 if you didn't dawdle at all at the gas station.
Oh. Did you dawdle then?
I did.
Okay.
I tend to, when I get out for my one stop along the way, for gas, I tend to fall into a trance staring at like the chips and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And then before I know it, 30 minutes has passed.
So there's just security footage of you in a convenience store just standing there staring at the chips. It's like Paranormal Activity. They put it on fast forward and you're just like swaying there.
Bro, wait, that's exactly what I was picturing. I'm just like swaying, like lean forward.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I always get weird looks, but I'm not trying to be a weirdo.
You just are.
Am.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was a great trip though, and I feel invigorated.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. You should feel exhausted after road trips. Cool.
I would, but I got my snuggle tank filled by my boyfriend.
Oh.
Who lives in Houston.
That sounds snuggly.
It was so snuggly. It's funny because every time I tell people who don't know me very well that I just took a trip to Houston, they're like, oh, cool. Houston's so much cooler than here. Did you do cool stuff? Like, there's all these cool restaurants and blah, blah. And I'm like, bro.
No.
I holed up with my boyfriend. He is an immigrant. Immigrants don't go to restaurants like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they go sometimes, but not like Americans.
Yeah.
Like, they ain't trying to go eat at a restaurant.
I feel really proud for not taking the low-hanging fruit in that statement that you hold up with your boyfriend.
I put it out there for you. You didn't take it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave that.
All right.
Leave it alone.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, what we do is we eat a lot of avocados and rice.
Sounds good.
It is.
Yeah, that sounds pretty nice, actually.
It's actually delicious.
Yeah. Do you have toast with your avocado?
Oh no, that's definitely a white person thing.
But you say that like you're not a white person.
No, I am, but I was with a not white person who was running the whole meal schedule.
The meal itinerary has been set weeks in advance.
It really was. So yeah, no, there was rice and avocado, lemon, meat,
Actually, yeah, I'd eat that for a
I mean,
weekend.
it's really good. It's really good. So yeah, did a lot of eating at home, did a lot of hanging out with the million people that live in the house with him. And yeah,
I thought you were just going to say the million people that live in Houston.
we had a hangout, all of the Houstonites.
All of Houston.
Yeah, it was great.
The Houston block party.
It was great. It was fantastic. What about you? How are you?
I am good. I don't think I have anything new to report on. Although it is Kim's birthday, and I'm really excited for her to get her gifts that I got her.
When is she going to get them? On her birthday?
Because she's out of town for her birthday.
Oh, yeah.
She's traveling to see her brother or something.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how dare she
leave
me here on her birthday?
Oh, seriously. So she doesn't know when is she getting them? When she gets back?
Yeah, it have to be when she gets back.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Most of them arrive on her birthday.
So you can't tell me because she'll hear it on
Correct.
Friday. Okay.
So yeah, her birthday's coming up, and beyond that, no, it's just been business as usual.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like business as usual. It's nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. But did you see all of our stories this week?
Yes, I did, and I loved them.
They were nice. They were very nice.
I was enamored by them.
Yeah, that's a good word for them.
Mm-hmm.
And who did we pick to read this week?
We decided to read the story of Moridinamael.
Yeah, so this is Man on the Edge by Moridinamael. Boss, I swear it's not my fault. I beg you, please hear me out. I can explain. All right, here's what happened. My primary subject is an unusually pious man. He prays to the adversary an hour each day, sequestered in a closet in his home set aside for that purpose. Well, no, sir, I didn't affirm that he was actually praying. If you insist, my lord, I'll describe it in as much detail as I can. It's a small room decked out with crucifixes on all four walls and ampules of holy water in the four corners. He keeps a vase specifically for his old, dried-out Palm Sunday fronds. Obviously, I can't actually go in there and watch him. I'd be fried to a crisp. On a holiness per square foot basis, I've never seen anything like it west of the Wailing Wall. But I can see in through the doorway when he enters and leaves. All that's in there is, well, what I just described, plus a cushion that I suppose he kneels on, and a low table I suppose he rests his elbows on when he prays. Oh, he must also have one of those wretched communion bells in there. I hear it ring softly from time to time. So, Lord, what else could he be doing in there other than praying? I'll get to the point. I figured a man is only that pious if he has something to be pious about, if you catch my meaning. Some of our most credentialed and honored guests down here were avid churchgoers. To keep up appearances, or to assuage their guilt, or even just to help cope with their doubts. Whatever the reason, it's a famously good indicator of a troubled soul. Well, no, he only went to Mass a handful of times a year, but he spent 7 hours a week praying in that room. That much prayer must have a reason. That's a soul in peril, if I ever saw one. I caught the sinner in a moment of weakness. After soldiering through a particularly bad day, made slightly worse by yours falsely, he arrived home to find a jury duty summons in the mail, a burst water pipe in the apartment above his, and a very sick dog sprawled on the floor. His telephone didn't work due to the water in the walls, so he headed out to the payphone on the corner across from his apartment building. He pushed aside the folding doors to the phone booth, reached in his pockets, and groaned, turning his eyes to the heavens beseechingly because, of course, his pockets were empty. Here I come to the rescue. I approach from the direction of the bus stop, no theatrics yet, and flash a quarter to catch his eye. His first reaction of gratitude is quashed when I offer to flip him for it. Heads, I say he can have the coin. Tails, I keep it, and on top of the bargain, I get his hat. You might think that no man would take that deal, but It was a cheap polyester beanie, and I knew he didn't want to go back to his apartment to go scrounging in his couch cushions for a quarter, all the while knowing the water was seeping into his floors and his dog sicking up on the couch. I flipped the coin, and it landed tails, of course. The subject quietly removed his beanie, looking darkly at the space between my loafers, and handed it over. There was some dignity left, but not much. I knew I needed to crack it. I told him, "Oh, hell, I'm just trying to brighten your day. Why don't we go again? This time, if you win, you get the beanie back, and the quarter, and my gold watch besides." I pull up my sleeve to show the Rolex, let him get a good look at the details so he can convince himself it's real. Of course it's fake, but it's a damn good fake. But if I win, I tell him, I keep the beanie, the coin, and this time his sweater. The wheels are turning now, he's thinking. You can see him thinking that losing a sweater would be an annoyance on this blustery January evening, but winning a gold Rolex might just turn around his whole day, with interest. So he takes the bet. I flip the coin, and what do you know? Tails again. I should have mentioned earlier that many years ago this subject was a degenerate gambler. He clawed his way out of the pit, as it were, but I've been waiting a long time for this moment of weakness. This moment when I can use his biggest flaw against him. I think all the prayer must have something to do with the gambling. Anyway, there I am, smiling with a cheap beanie and, incredibly, a somehow even cheaper sweater draped over my arm, the edge of the Rolex poking out of my sleeve just to taunt him. I see anger in his face now, but I see something else there too, that old avidity. He's on the hook. I let the moment draw out. I wait for him to say it, to ask me to up the ante. And he does. "Grand," I tell him. "If the coin comes up tails, I win. I keep everything, and also I get your dog. If you win, you get the quarter, the Rolex, and my Mercedes-Benz." Here, I gesture at the sleek black automobile perched by the curb nearby, which may or may not have been there a moment prior. He licks his lips. He blinks. He stammers, stalling for time. He loves the dog, you see, but I know that a car would make a big difference in his life. He commutes 2 hours each way to work via the bus. Maybe for an instant he wonders how I know he has a dog, but probably he just figures it's a lucky guess, and besides, he's locked into the game with me now. Finally, the old light still in his eyes, he affirms the deal, on the condition that he gets to flip the coin. He indicates the flat concrete slab atop the retaining wall that we're standing beside. I shrug. Sure. Be my guest. If I hadn't agreed, he might have started to think I was cheating, which of course I was. So I figured a 50-50 shot was better than forfeiting what I was really after. He flips the coin and lets it land on the concrete, rather than catching it in his hand, so we'll both know there's no funny business. It strikes the hard surface and spins and jounces and comes up tails. Now he's actually weeping. Maybe the reality of what he's just lost is crashing into the unreality of the situation. Maybe that light in his eyes dims for an instant and he wonders again, how did I know he has a dog? Who is this strange man tormenting him? But it's too late. The deal was struck. And degenerate gamblers can always be counted on to pay up in the end. Otherwise, if it wasn't possible to lose it all, what would be the point of gambling in the first place? I stand there, grinning and waiting. I need him to ask, you understand. And he does. So I offer the final deal. If the coin comes up tails and I win, he can have the coin back, and the polyester beanie, and the shabby sweater, and the sick dog. What's it to me? He can keep his used and soiled belongings. All I'll take from him is his soul. But if he wins, gets it all back, plus the gold Rolex, the car, a house in the city, a vacation house on the coast, and a superior and inexplicable skill at the violin on top of the bargain. He says very clearly, "Tails, you win, you get my soul. Otherwise, I win and I get my dog back, and I get the riches?" I nod. And, he goes on, one more thing. If the quarter doesn't come up heads, you and yours still have to leave me alone for the remainder of my days on this earth. I consider for a moment, and finally I nod. If I win, then I can let him live out his days and I'll be waiting for him at the end just the same. He takes a deep breath. He flips the coin. I notice something about the sound as his thumbnail strikes the rim of the quarter, a soft ringing like a bell. Familiar. The coin goes up in a perfectly straight line, flashing in the last red light of the setting sun. It bounces once and lands exactly on its edge. It rotates in place for a moment, teetering, and stays. No breath of wind disturbs it. There it stands, neither heads nor tails. I feel my face frozen in a rictus grin, the implications landing a heartbeat later. The details of the final wording of the deal which I agreed to. A shriek of rage escapes me, but before I can form the first syllable of protest, I burst into hellfire and I'm driven down into and below the earth, compelled by the power of my own oath, not to harass him for all the rest of his days if the coin didn't come up heads. And of course, it also didn't come up tails. So he won everything. So you see, boss, it was bad luck. A 1 in a million chance, a freak occurrence, plus some unlucky wording of our bet. It won't happen next time. What do you mean? He wasn't praying in there. What else could he have been doing? Boss? Please, no. I don't understand. Where are you going? Boss, it's dark in here. Please, leave me a light. It's so cold. I wish I had that beanie.
Excellent.
I
have so many thoughts about this.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of thoughts to be had about this.
So many.
First, does this have dialogue?
Well, yes, so I think that it says a lot that we chose this story, even though it explicitly broke the explicit rules of the prompt.
Explicitly broke the explicit rules.
Yes, yeah. It did. There
are no quotations.
Yes, there are.
Oh, yeah. Tails, you win, you get my soul, otherwise I win. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so this decidedly missed the brief.
Right. And so points are obviously detracted for that.
Yes, minus 1 million points.
Right.
Yeah.
However, all that aside, this was so interesting to me for so many reasons. So, first of all, do we ever get the name of the protagonist?
No, we don't get any names.
Okay.
I don't think.
So the alleged human, I think there's more to him than meets the eye.
Yeah.
And the point that I actually missed when I first read this, where it's like, I noticed something about the sound as his thumbnail strikes the rim of the quarter. I understood that part, but then it was like a soft ringing like a bell, familiar. I missed that the first time.
Yeah.
But when I started to think there is something more to him than meets the eye is when he said, before that, when he says, if the quarter doesn't come up heads, you and yours still have to leave me alone for the remainder of my days on this earth. So I'm thinking, why doesn't that give the demon pause?
Yeah.
Because he clearly knows that he is a demon because he said you and yours.
Yeah, he's been made.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he doesn't even realize it because he's just like got his eye on the prize. He's so excited about this soul.
Yeah. The way I kind of saw that is the demon probably knew that he was made because he asked for his soul as part of the bargain.
Yeah.
And so maybe like at that point he's like, well, yeah, of course I'm made.
Right. Yeah,
so,
that makes sense.
But that's the best I can come up with,
that
though.
makes sense.
But you're right. It's kind of there's a nonchalance about it.
Yeah.
Like there's no questioning like my soul.
Right.
Like,
and that to me means that this person has been around the block a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Around the spiritual block, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
Yeah. So, and I'm like, well, also I was terrified when he was going to lose his dog.
Yeah, that's really upsetting to include that in the bargain. Sick dog or not, like.
Especially a sick dog. You want to take care of it. And so the fact that that's not what ended up happening, I'm like eternally grateful for.
Yeah. Yeah, because he gets everything.
Right. And you know what?
Including his own soul, it sounds like.
Right.
Yeah.
I would definitely not sell my soul for any of these things, but I would consider it for a moment for the inexplicable skill at the violin.
That was a hell of a touch.
That was a hell of a touch. Like that. Oh, wow. That's tempting.
Yeah. All these material things, a Rolex, a Mercedes Benz.
Who gives a shit about that? Mm-mm.
Yeah. A house in the city, a house on the coast, and an inexplicable skill of the violin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if it was between that or my sick cat, I would definitely take my sick cat. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to draw a line somewhere.
Exactly.
But yeah, just the way this deal keeps escalating and growing, and the final deal. I don't know what did you think about the fact that he let him flip the coin?
I feel that he was just so confident that he was going to win. To me, the human or the alleged human strikes me as a coin toss shark.
So the ringing of the coin, I tied that back to a line earlier.
The ringing of the bell.
The wretched communion bell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the familiar part of it.
Yeah.
And so it seems like this Deus Ex Machina, and this is divine intervention stepping in to save our hero.
Yeah.
A hero, heavy air quotes. It's just this dude, alleged.
As far as we know.
Yeah, or could be some celestial being, or who knows.
I kind of think he might be an angel.
Could be.
I feel like it's like a, juxtaposition.
Yeah. Or an angel in disguise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's talking to a demon in disguise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the angel is just going along with it, being like, yeah, I'm just a poor, wretched soul over here.
Unfortunate soul.
Yeah, and he's like losing the coin tosses until the ante gets upped way high, and then he's like, oh, joke's on you.
Yeah.
Sucker.
Yeah, he does come across like a shark.
Yeah.
Like he's playing this guy.
Exactly.
Making him think that like
a fiddle.
Like a violent joke.
Right. Yeah, but you know what? Something I found really interesting at the end was how the demon was like, no, please don't leave me here. I need a light. I need warmth.
Yeah, it's dark in here. Please. It's so cold.
Yeah, I felt like a demon would be kind of used to that, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
or
which
like
maybe
into that on some level.
Maybe they're not. Maybe they're a demon in training or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like they're not totally accustomed to demon life yet.
Yeah.
Possibly.
So, if they weren't praying in there, what were they doing? What is it?
Okay, so what do we know about it? There was a bell.
And it's decked out.
It's decked out with crucifixes.
And holy water.
The
like.
Could it have been some type of like demon hunter,
Because it seems like especially the end, like we're basically confirming that he wasn't actually praying in there.
Right.
But we don't get any explanation as to what he or it or they or whatever were actually doing in there.
Could it have been some demon bounty hunter who has no allegiance to either side, but just wants to make a profit and be a badass?
Or he's just spending like 7 hours a day learning how to flip coins perfectly.
Oh, that could be it. That could be like a pool shark who's at their pool table perfecting their craft.
He's a degenerate gambler.
Right.
So
okay. Yeah.
Maybe he's preparing his hustle surrounded by all of this holiness. So
because maybe he is like Catholic and he's trying to get his like, what's the word I'm looking for? The things, the things that are holy that Catholic people have. The holy objects.
Like a crucifix? Chalice? Rosary?
No. Not the specific name of the object, but like a general name for them. It was there. It was in my head. It just left my head.
Like a sacred object? I
Yeah,
don't.
it's sacred objects.
Yeah, okay.
So maybe he's Catholic. Maybe he's surrounding himself with all of his sacred objects, his items which are going to bring him success. And then, yeah, he's practicing his coin toss.
And just getting that edge shot perfect.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's probably possible if you spend enough time on it. And he apparently is spending a lot of time on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you could choose a thing to spend, how much was it? 7 hours a week? What was it?
7 hours a day. Or is that what it was? Was it a day? I remember 7 hours. 7 hours a week praying in that room. Yeah, you're right.
If there was something that you could choose to become a boss bitch at by spending 7 hours a week, like in a closed up room, what would you choose?
Does it have to be a skill I don't already have?
Or one that you want it to be at a higher level?
I just put my piano in there.
Okay.
And I just use it as an excuse to practice.
Yeah.
For an hour a day.
Right.
Which is really not that much.
No, it's really not.
It's really not.
Really kind of the bare minimum.
Yeah, that's where you begin.
Okay, yeah. So 7 hours a week, that doesn't sound like enough to become like an expert at something.
Well, yeah, 10,000 hours, that would be a lot.
But question though, that 10,000 hours that they speak of, 10,000 hours stretched over how much time? Because let's say that you live to be 110.
Okay.
And you spend 10,000 hours doing something. Okay. That's what? How many? 10 hours a year? No. 1,000 hours a year.
1,000 hours
100 hours a year?
1,000 hours a year. It would take you 10 years to put in 10,000 hours.
Okay.
So if you put in 100 hours a year, it would take you 100 years.
To get to 10,000? Is
that right?
I don't know. No, I don't know.
Wait, shit. It's so simple.
I want to do 110. Hold on, wait. I'm going to do it right now. 110 divided by 10,000. Yeah, 110 divided by 10,000.
This is such compelling audio.
0.011. That doesn't make sense at all.
That's why I was like, I'm not sure what calculation you're trying to get out of that.
No, I was trying to. Okay, sorry, I did it backwards. 10,000 divided by 110. 90. That's 90 hours a year.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Let's say that you want to become an expert at the piano and you spend only 90 hours a year. And finally, whenever you're 110, are you going to be an expert? Doubt it.
Well, there's
there's
external factors that would play into your ability to play the piano at 110 years old.
Aside from all that, I'm just saying I feel like frequency has something to do with it as well, not just quantity.
Well, yeah.
You know?
And also the quality of the practice.
So that 10,000 hours is bullshit.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
Such bullshit. Who came up with that?
Some
bullshitter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, what else do you have for Man on the Edge? Which I hadn't really considered the title, but I like that considering.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
It is. There was something I really
love the tone of the demon and just this kind of flippance. Like, it's just kind of, okay, so, I showed him my watch and just to show that it was real. And of course it was fake, obviously, and of course, like, I won the flip and of course I was cheating. And, it really strikes me like, I'm going to bring it up again. Good Omens.
Same.
Good Omens?
Yeah.
Did you start reading Good Omens?
I did. I'm already like halfway through.
I'm so excited for you.
Yes.
Is it fun?
It is so fun.
It is so fun.
It is so fun. Yeah. I have giggled so much.
It's such a giggle-worthy book.
It is. Yeah. I mean, at first I was like, this is just going to be so cheesy. But then it starts getting I actually laughed out loud.
Yeah. And it's such like that typical dry British humor Yeah.
Dry yet cheesy at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
And I believe it was Nick to you that mentioned that it's reminiscent of like the Screw Tape letters as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which I can definitely see that as well.
Yeah. The humorous aspect of this, though, makes it more Good Omens. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
But I really like the yours falsely. Yeah. That is very Good Omens-esque. And from what I'm acting like I'm an expert at Good Omens. And I just started it like 2 days ago. But yeah. I really like that. Yours falsely. That was funny.
Yeah, there's just a lot of lovely little touches and little details that gradually clue us into, well, who our point of view character is. Mm-hmm. And that's a really delightful discovery the first time you're reading it.
Yeah.
Especially whenever I landed on yours falsely, I was like, okay, this is a demon.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
And then you just keep piling on these little details, like about the Mercedes-Benz, points to a Mercedes-Benz that may or may not have been there a moment ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I love all the little nuances to it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Most of all, I love the ending.
Yes.
Because I was going to be like, this is so tragic right now. Mm-hmm. But the ending just... Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's a very satisfying ending. I was going to say
satisfying, yes.
And just leaves you on this little, I wish I had that beanie. Just
right.
You could say that's a message about greed, I guess, because he had that beanie and then lost it. So he's as much a degenerate gambler as the other guy.
Totally.
If not, maybe even more so.
Probably more so, because the other guy probably knew what he was doing the whole time.
Yeah. Probably.
If he was a coin toss hustler.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you, moridinamael.
Thank you.
And for those of our listeners who may not be familiar, this is actually Mr. Matt Freeman from the Flanagan's Wake podcast and the Kingslingers podcast. So,
hey, Matt.
Thanks for joining us, Matt.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Great additions. Yes.
And I'm loving Flanagan's Wake, by the way. It's been great so far.
So, who have we got next?
Up next, we have Olivia's Treehouse, Scene 1, by Walker by Faith.
Yep. So, what'd you make of this?
I really enjoyed this. Mm-hmm. We asked, and Walker delivered, gave us Scene 1.
Yep.
We were asking, basically all the questions, like, well, how did Dad die, and what's going on? And Scene 1 here
we are.
This is quite the scene, and it's effective in a lot of ways. Most notably, in my opinion, is, no pun intended, the note that's left here, and how it's gradually, we get little bits of it throughout. Oh, what was the mom's name? Do you remember?
Hold on.
Oh, Gracie. So yes. Grace is the mom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Okay, so we're in mom's perspective, whereas Scene 3 was in Olivia's perspective, coming out of a coma. But anyways, this glimpse into Grace's perspective, and the time that we get dropped in here sounds like immediately following her husband's suicide.
Yeah.
And Olivia's dad's suicide.
Mm-hmm.
So off of what we read last week, we didn't have any clue that was what had happened.
Right.
So we're left with this note that we get little snippets from. And this line, please explain my choice to the children. I know they are old enough to understand. I just hope that you can understand and forgive me. We get that fairly early in the story. And even at that moment, like, I knew on my first read, I was like, that's a terrible burden to put on your wife.
Yeah.
To explain your reason to kill yourself.
Right. Well, okay, so my first thought was that. And my first thought was like, that motherfucker. But then, as I read down farther and saw his reasoning for what he did, I was like, okay, I actually can't hold it against him. And I also can't hold it against her that she's angry. And he didn't either. And he said, I know that you're going to be angry, but, accept it eventually or something. He's like, I know you'll be angry at first or something like that. Yeah. And what is he going to do? Tell his kids, I'm going to kill myself, you know? So it kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I went through the whole range of emotions that I feel that Walker wanted us to go through.
Yeah. And to your point, yeah, by the end, I was like, yeah, it's a tough spot.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't change the fact that that's a horrible burden to put on anybody.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And he recognizes that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So yeah, it's a very conflicting place to put your reader, and you handled it very well. You put us right in the center of that. And it was really effective for that alone, just that aspect. But we get so much characterization about Grace, like her reaction to that line, well, ain't that special? Leave me to explain it to them, huh? Classy. Mm-hmm. And she put the letter back in the drawer by the bed, unable to dwell on it anymore. She was getting too upset. Like, it's just such a great characterization of Mom, the matriarch of this family here. Mm-hmm. And it does so much to characterize her that I have such a clear idea of who this woman is. Mm-hmm. Like, she's going around, she's tidying up all this stuff. She puts sheets in the wash and she's livid. She's mad, and the reactions that she has to certain things. Where was it that she, like, there was a part where I thought it's whenever she grabs the hammer and starts smashing the pill bottle. I was like, she's going to break down crying, but she starts laughing. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's such a reaction to these events that it goes against what we expect, but at the same time, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It has this kind of truth to it.
Totally.
Yeah.
I do wonder though, like, why didn't the dad, I feel like it would have been better if the dad had like driven off a cliff or something. 'Cause then, first of all, she wouldn't have to clean up. Yeah. Second of all, she would not have to tell the kids what happened until she was good and ready. She'd be like, oh, Dad had a car wreck. 'Cause he did.
Yeah.
And it would also be more fun, I feel, to drive off a cliff. Like, maybe take the pills and then drive off the cliff, and make it a cliff high enough that you're definitely going to die, I mean, I'm just saying, I would be more pissed about the fact that I had to clean up the fucking body,
Well, she didn't have to get rid of the body. She had, like, she called the police, and the police did their thing.
Right, but
she started to, like, clean the bed and everything.
She had to clean the bed, and it happened in the house. Yeah. Now it's going to be all traumatic.
Yeah.
Drive away. Drive off a cliff. Yeah. Easy.
Well, if he was that far along in cancer,
yeah,
maybe that wasn't a choice.
Like, he couldn't get out of bed?
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
It's possible. I'm just trying to give him whatever benefit of the doubt that I can as to why he wouldn't have made it as easy as possible on his dear wife.
Right. Yeah. That's true. I just keep imagining the scene in Groundhog Day.
Which one?
Where he kidnaps the groundhog.
Oh.
And he's like, well, Phil, it's showtime. And then they drive off the cliff, like, and it's a really high cliff. Uh-huh. And the car crashes down, like, I don't know, like 10 stories or something. And then the cameraman looks down and he's like, he might be okay. And then the car explodes. And he's like, he's probably not okay. Like, why not go out with a bang? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you could. But if he was like bedridden and literally could not drive, then all right, I'll allow it. Of all the ways he could kill himself inside of his bed, that was probably the least traumatic way for his family. With
right.
Pills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A stark absence of blood everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Or a creepy image of hanging from the rafters,
Also, yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. I'll buy that.
Yeah. Yeah. But just in general, this is quite a bit shorter than scene 3 was, I believe. But it feels very dense. Like it's doing a lot to make sure that we know who Grace is. And I feel like it did just that. I wanted to call out this paragraph, and I kind of already mentioned it. I'm just going to read it. As she brought the hammer down on the empty bottle, splitting the sides of it as it flattened, she let out a startled laugh and kept pounding with the hammer. She knew she was also ruining the nightstand, but she didn't care. She hit it and hit it until the corner of the nightstand broke off and fell to the floor. Piece of shit furniture, she thought, dropping the hammer to the floor to rest among the bits of broken wood and plastic. It's just such a great description of like just that visceral.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to describe it. It's a visceral sadness and anger. Like
it's just like an outpouring of emotion.
Yeah.
And the part where she laughed, I was like, I feel that so hard, where you're like in the depths of despair and you just lose your shit.
It circles right back around to hysteria.
Yes, it's hysteria. You're just laughing uncontrollably. Yeah, that was like very relatable.
Yes. And very well describes. And continuing into the next paragraph, where she sits down on the edge of the bed and gasps, sobs, starting back again in earnest. Like just that range of emotion that we get from her.
Yeah.
This depression, this despair, this hysteria. It's very, very well described. And you save what it is that put her in this state until the very end when we get the note.
Right. I really like the line. Well, because you know what? At first I was like, yeah, okay, cool story. But then at the end, it started to become a tearjerker because it was like, I love you with all my heart and I always will. Thank you, my love, for a lifetime of love, happiness, and partnership. A man cannot expect more out of life. And I leave mine in peace. I will love you forever. I almost teared up at that.
Yeah.
The part about I will love you forever.
Yeah.
Oof.
It pushes that line. And for this to be scene one of Olivia's treehouse.
Right.
Like that's a hell of a way to get us started.
It is. But there's a line that really, really struck me, and it's in the second to last paragraph, where it's like, and Gracie, you will be fine. His like confidence that she's going to be fine.
His insistence almost.
Yeah.
You will be fine.
Right. But he's like, it's like he's, and when people are like close to the end of their life, they do become kind of prophetic.
Yeah.
They suddenly see things that we can't see,
Yeah. You're putting like your own baggage behind because what does it matter? And so you have this sort of clarity.
You have clarity for that reason, I think, because you have a more of like an eternal perspective suddenly coming on, and just his knowledge that you will be fine. I know that you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And she will, I don't know. That just really struck me.
It does strike the reader, and it strikes me as well. The whole note strikes me. It's I like the note because a suicide note could be many things. This is a long note. This is a letter. And you can kind of see this internal fight that Roger is having, like this building up this courage to do what he feels he needs to do. And the struggle of that being evident in this note. Like this isn't an easy decision for Roger to make. And you can see the planning that he's put into making this decision. The insurance papers are all on the table beside the typewriter. I've highlighted the sections you'll need to refer to when they try to deny your claim. You'll be fine. He's done his due diligence to make sure that his family and Grace are all taken care of.
Right.
Before he ever even considered this path. It's just a very striking way for us to begin.
Yeah, it is. And quick question for Walker. As a pastor, I feel like you will probably know the answer to this. But I actually started mulling over a couple of days ago before I read this. Where does it say in the Bible that God frowns upon suicide? I feel like that's a Catholic concept, and maybe it exists in other faith groups as well. But my dad well, we're Protestant, but he thought that too. But I definitely know that it's a Catholic concept as well. And I'm like, where does it say that? So here's the thing, Walker. Like, I got my bachelor's degree in biblical studies. Yeah, believe it or not. And I cannot for the life of me recall where in the Bible it says that God frowns upon suicide. Did you find it?
My source is gotquestions.blog.
Perfect. And what does it say?
What does the Bible say about suicide?
Not a damn thing.
The Bible mentions 6 people who committed suicide. Judges 9:54, 1 Samuel 31.
You know, Judas did.
2 Samuel 17, 1 Kings 16, Matthew 27.
That was Judas.
Exodus 20. Yeah, Matthew would be Judas.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bible does condemn murder. Exodus 20. Suicide is self-murder. Therefore, suicide is a sin since murder is a sin.
So there is no mention of suicide being condemned by God.
That's
only murder being. So it's an interpretation thing.
Yeah, and that's from Exodus.
What? It says
that particular idea that murder is suicide is self-murder.
It says that in Exodus?
That's, again, my source is gotquestions.blog. Okay. So take all of this with a heavy grain of salt.
Yeah, I want to know.
But yeah, I do not know. I have no idea.
Inquiring minds want to know. And it is surprising because the reason I was thinking about this was suddenly I just started mulling over my dad's thoughts about suicide. I mean, not about his own suicide, but about suicide in general being an unforgivable sin. And then I started wondering myself, wait a second, self, we are very Protestant. Mm-hmm. Like our family and our ancestors have been Protestant for a long time. So where did my dad get so convinced of this idea? You know? Tell me, Walker. Tell me where my dad got this idea.
Well, and I feel like that's something I've heard for a while. Like you'll hear
from
that
Catholics.
Well, just in general, like sin is, or God,
sin is a sin.
Sin is a suicide. No, I'm just kidding. Suicide is like a mortal sin. Like it's
that's
something
from Catholicism.
Okay, yeah, I'm very curious because I've always thought that. I feel like I've always been taught that it's evil in a way.
Well, I've always been taught that it's bad, but not to the extent that I feel like some groups classify it as bad. I don't know. Anyway, I'm interested. Please tell me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think if for no other reason, just to sate our curiosity.
Yes.
Because I'm very curious to know what...
Sate us.
Sate us.
Sate us.
Well, hey, thanks, Walker.
Thank you, Walker. That was great.
Okay, so up next we have The Time I Fought an Eel in Gym Class by Nick to You.
Yes.
Yeah. So this certainly felt familiar.
Did.
And then after reading the note, I was like, oh, yeah.
Yep. It's knee. We're back to knee.
Yeah. Knee's up to her old antics again.
She is.
Yeah. So this met the prompt perfectly. There's not a lick of dialogue.
Nope.
Nothing spoken here.
Mm-mm.
It's all an action sequence.
It is.
Which is a perfect way to utilize the prompt.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Just make it all action based.
Yeah, I really enjoyed because like I'm not a gamer. When I was, in elementary school, I was at Nintendo. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mario. Also Street Fighter.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And then later, I guess maybe after elementary, Mortal Kombat.
Oh, yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was addicted to those things for a while. So because of that, but I'm just saying I'm not like a current gamer, but because of all that, I really liked the accuracy with which the video games in real life were portrayed. The video game movements or aspects were shown in a real life person doing them.
Yeah. And again, we're not entirely sure like what this world is.
Right.
But yeah, it certainly plays like a video game.
Yeah. It seems like a video game, and I just like the description of like, whenever the weapon would like come back to her, the axes would come back to her.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think there was one action scene with the faux Rex where we were like, it'd be nice to see like what that looks like when the axes are called, and we do get more description of what that kind of looks like here.
Yeah,
and also like the mechanics, like the katana has this kind of preternatural cutting ability.
Like even cutting through the water and making your movement easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even cutting through this blast that this eel, like the katana saves them, like they're able to like cut through their attack and everything. So almost seems like we're gearing up to maybe uncovering some history to this katana, which seems pretty OP. So it's just a good action sequence.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, pretty well contained. Easy to follow, which is a lot for an action sequence. It's easy for me to get lost in action. So I kept with this all the way through, no problem. So
I liked the description of the eel itself. And also I liked where it said, I threw an axe at the eel, hoping to whittle away at its health. I mean, that might be like a gamer term, whittle away. I know that the health is a gamer term.
Yeah.
Like it's like level of health or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just really I smiled at that, whittle away at its health. I thought that was funny. And I like the description. That was probably my favorite paragraph. I threw an axe at the eel, hoping to whittle away at its health. It had taken a few tries to hit the mark, the weird air messing up my aim. Now, though, it sailed true, digging into the eel's flesh for a moment before it disappeared in a flash of blue to return to my belt.
Yeah.
I just feel like that was really, really well described of how video games work, you know? And I also really like the term, it sailed true.
Yeah.
I just really liked that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm glad you read that paragraph, because that also stood out to me as a particularly effective paragraph.
Yeah, it was. It was very effective. It was very well written. It was very the imagery was really good there.
Yeah. And I really liked the description of like the movements, and kind of the quality of the air is basically like they're underwater. Very difficult to move through, allows people and monsters to swim through the air, presents a really interesting image to us, the reader, because it's air, but it's described like swimming through it. So that's pretty original for me, at least.
Yeah.
And the way you describe the movements, like they're kind of dodging and dancing around, that struck me very much like gaming. Like that's. So I was recently playing the Spider-Man games, and it's all about like movement and dodge and duck and things. So like,
what's it called? Bobbing and weaving.
Bobbing
and weaving,
bobbing and weaving and jumping and swinging and yeah. But the movements really struck me as gamer-esque.
Oh
like the way that they're
described.
Yeah,
it was really well described in that way. And I thought, dang, it would be so fun to fight an eel boss monster, I feel.
Yeah. But that kind of circles me to my point of what are the stakes here?
Yeah, that is a very good question. That's something that I've wondered before in this series.
Yeah, since the Faux Rex, which I think was our first... Yeah, that was the first entry for this series, and I'm just curious, like, what are the stakes?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because I'm like, that is the question. Is this just, at first I'll think, oh, this is just for fun, like a game, a club. But then it's like, no, everybody else is like cowering in the corner. What happens if you fuck up? Do you actually die? Like, how many lives do you have? Do you really have to protect these people? What if they get attacked by the eel? Are they going to actually die, or is it just a game?
Yeah, and to what degree, like you could describe it as just a game, like you don't die if you die in the game, But for all we know, this is a world that everybody lives in, and when you die, you lose all your material possessions or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the stakes are something I'm very curious to know about.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I want to know what is this exactly?
Yeah, I feel like we kind of need some. I feel like this series could use some exposition to kind of root us further in the world, and also tell us what these what does he call them? These special events. They were called an incursion. Was that what they were described as before?
Yeah, I think so.
Like what is the significance of these? And it sounds like this is the second time in 1 year, so these sound like uncommon occurrences, but just the same, like what's happening here?
Yeah, or is this just like video game dream world? Like, what is it?
Yeah,
yeah.
I'd be curious to know.
I want to know too.
Well, hey, thanks, Nick Dew.
Thank you, Nick Dew.
And up next, we have The Locked Door by Steve Livingroom.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Hey.
So, I need your thoughts on this.
Okay. First of all, at first I thought it was just going to be, and it is like a utopia kind of ideal scenario happening, And I thought that was going to be like the reality, and I was going to be like, bullshit.
Right. Yeah.
But then it was just a dream. So I just wanted to say at the end that I was like, why not just embrace those dreams and make that your reality? Like, he's clearly in some, like, I don't know, psych ward or something.
Or even just prison.
Yeah. And I've heard that there is a culture, which I don't know if this is true, but I've heard that there's a culture who believes that their real life is their dream life, and that their waking life is like reversed. Like, the time that they really live their actual real lives is when they're asleep.
That's the movie Inception, isn't it?
Oh, well, yeah, there's that, but it's like a tribe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just wish that this person could, like, I wish Joe could adopt that mindset and just be like, okay, well, this is where I am for now, but when I go sleepy times, that's real life.
Sleepy times.
Yeah. That's when I'm really doing this stuff.
Yeah. And frankly, considering the vividness of this dream and all the detail and the joy that he derives from this dream,
right,
and just how long it goes on, like maybe that's exactly what he's doing.
Maybe so.
And we just caught the end where it's like, damn it, I'm no longer in my dream, but I'll get back there.
Yeah.
So it is weirdly optimistic despite the kind of dour ending that we're left with.
Yeah, I feel like there's an out.
Yeah.
And the out is unconsciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know where he is. I kind of got the feeling he was in a psych ward because at the very beginning, it was like he could hear the nurses or something, I think, out in the hallway, maybe. Yeah,
possibly. It's the way it's described. Yeah, it could honestly go either way.
Yeah. But either way, if he is in a psych ward, then he could spend a considerable amount of time sleeping. Yeah. More than he could in prison.
Especially if he's medicated.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I wanted to. It's been a while since we've done a kind of gloves off, and I just want to kind of touch on some nitty gritty things here. Okay. So, one thing was the opening of this. I feel like it's right there, but I feel like it needs just a little cleaning up.
Mm-hmm.
So, I offer a rewrite for the first 4 sentences.
Mm-hmm.
You have currently the door closes. Joseph hears a click as the lock engage. Joseph focuses on the sounds. He hears Bill's, the night nurse, shuffling feet. Just as Joseph predicted, he also can just make out the soccer game coming from Bill's earbuds.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple things. I don't think you necessarily need to tell us that Joseph focuses on the sounds. Show us him focusing on the sounds, which you immediately do. He hears Bill's, the night nurse's shuffling feet. So I think you can actually just omit that. So the rewrite that I came up with was the door closes. Joseph hears a click as the lock engages. He hears Bill's, the night nurse's, shuffling feet, and as he predicted, the soccer game coming from Bill's earbuds. It's just a simple way to kind of consolidate all of the ideas into the most
concise
and compact form possible.
I agree. And it's funny because on that part, I had a rewrite. Yes, which you didn't mention, and I thought you were going to. But it says he hears Bill's, the night nurse, shuffling feet. I feel like it would be way more effective if you said he hears the night nurse, Bill's, shuffling feet. Because it just says the night nurse, and the night nurses is awkward. So he hears the night nurse, Bill's, shuffling feet. I feel would be way better there.
Yeah, it's if you insist on having the night nurse named in this case, then yeah.
He hears the night nurse, Bill's, shuffling feet.
But in that case, you would still have to make nurse possessive.
I feel like you wouldn't, actually.
Because you could separate, because you hear the night nurses, Bill feet. Like, because it's, you could almost put Bill in a parenthetical, like it's not a part of the sentence. It's just clarity for the sake of clarity. So the subject,
or for the sake of detail,
for the sake of detail. So the feet still belong to the first.
Yeah, I see that, but I still feel that if you moved Bill to second after the night nurse, then you wouldn't necessarily have to put the apostrophe S on the night nurses. Like the night nurse, Bill's shuffling feet.
Yeah, which Steve didn't do in the first place. He put it on Bill's name, which I think is the right choice.
I agree, but that's why I think that it needs to be switched.
Okay.
He hears the night nurse, Bill's shuffling feet.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Like break that up. He hears the night nurse.
He hears the night nurse.
Bill's shuffling feet. You could almost separate it like M dash.
You could think of it like that. Yeah, you could. But I just think that switching Bill's and the night nurse would work really well.
Yeah. But just in general, because the opening is so important, that I think it needs to be clear, concise, and effective, which I think it's very close.
Yeah.
It just needs some very simple changes there. But again, this is going to be really quick, but his primary concern was these being found. Since we're in the present tense, that needs to be is. Since that's also in the first paragraph, that really did jump out at me because we haven't really been rooted in a tense or a place or a setting. So just be aware of those. But
at first, this was really smacking of Shawshank Redemption to me.
Especially the hidden stone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of what we were doing was a Shawshank.
I did too. And by the way, Steve, if that was what you were partially inspired by, Shawshank Redemption is my favorite movie in the world.
It's amazing.
Of all time ever.
I mean, it's narrated by Morgan Freeman.
I mean, what more do you need?
Come on, man.
What more do you need? I mean, it is my favorite movie of all time ever. Anyway, yeah. And I mean, that kind of is where we went to some extent.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we kind of went there and then passed. Yeah.
Right. And it's like his wildest dreams are coming true. Yeah, we went there and then passed. Like, then he got the VIP ticket.
He got invited backstage the second time. Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, also I wanted to mention a Pink Floyd cover of Us and Them, Easy All Stars, is the first song on my playlist.
Your first song on what playlist?
My personal, private, liked songs playlist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it's a cover?
Yeah. It's a Pink Floyd cover. By Easy All Stars.
Okay.
Of Us and Them.
Okay. Easy All Stars. Got it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the story is just optimistic,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very. I don't know why, but it never dawned on me that we could be in a dream. Like the whole time we're going through this story, like I was just like, this is just really warm and fuzzy. They got out, no problem, and it never occurred to me because of how long this dream sequence goes on. Let's call it that.
Mm-hmm.
I just got swept up in it.
Yeah.
To the point that I had completely suspended my disbelief of how easy he got out.
Yeah. To me, I started thinking that it could be a dream whenever the interpreter was gesturing towards him and they were like, "We love your dance skills, man," or whatever.
Yeah.
And at that point I was like, okay, that's that's a little overboard.
Yeah.
But up until then I was like, oh yeah, this could actually be happening. But then I was just like, I think this is a fantasy.
Yeah, even after that I was like, man, this is like what luck, like what optimism, like what hopefulness.
Yeah.
But then the last paragraph.
Yeah.
Like you go to such lengths to obfuscate the fact that we're in a dream that whenever we circle back to the reality, it is completely unexpected.
Yeah.
So I think that was very effective.
It was. It was.
Yeah, kind of.
We get lost in the fantasy.
Yeah, and frankly, Steve, because we're kind of familiar with how you write,
yeah,
I thought we were going to end somewhere fairly optimistic.
I did too.
I thought that was just the story.
I did too. And at the end, I was like, man, sad ending, bummer. But then I was like, wait, I like that from Steve.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, because it's like kind of changing the script a little bit.
Not only that, but it gives a kind of balance.
Yeah.
To the, I'll just say, generic optimism that Steve is prone to give us. So to have something to kind of balance that from the other side, I think is a really great technique.
It is.
Yeah.
And I really like the description of the girls. Eva was the star of the backup singers, and Genevieve was the outgoing girl everyone loves. And that's a tense issue again, but Jo loved Robin's beautiful and mysterious face, her long red hair and dazzling green eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, you go to such lengths to describe and characterize these one-off characters.
Yeah. But at the end, I just wanted to cheer up Jo and be like, Jo, live your best dream life, bro.
Yeah.
Just live your best dream life.
Yeah.
You have control over that. Well, not really, but kind of.
You could.
Yeah.
With practice, you can.
Really?
I've heard. I don't, but...
My brother used to try to influence my dreams. Whenever I would be asleep on road trips, in the back seat, he would be like, "You are at the beach. You are watching the wave."
That's so nice. I thought you were going to say something like really horrible. It's like, you are in hell. You are burning.
And honestly, he wasn't even trying to necessarily be nice. He was just trying to hone his powers of persuasion. He was just...
That's awesome.
He did that a lot. And then whenever I would wake up, he would be like, and you know what? He's not listening to this, so I'm just going to tell you.
Okay.
I would wake up and hear him trying to like persuade my dreams, but I would still pretend like I was asleep. And then whenever I would wake up, quote unquote, he would be like, "Oh, hey, welcome back. Cool. Did you have any dreams?"
really nonchalant.
Really nonchalant.
And so, like, I don't care, but like,
I don't care. It doesn't matter at all. But did you have any dreams? And I would be like, yeah, it was really weird. I dreamed I was on the beach and there were these waves lapping over the rocks. I was like 8. And
then like the sky was filled with sharks.
Yeah.
I can't explain it.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
But I would literally, because my brother is my idol to this day, but I would literally say what I knew he wanted to hear, but try to not make it too obvious, you know?
Yeah.
So he would be like, "Huh, that's interesting, weird."
Whoa, man, that's wild.
Yeah. But I could see the glimmer in his eye when he felt like he succeeded in this.
Y'all are so cute.
I know, aren't we? Oh my God.
Or just enabling each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we still do to this day.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Well, that's adorable.
Thank you.
Much like the dream sequence for Joe here, this is all just lovely and adorable. Whenever he gets invited by the interpreter, man, it's like, oh, that's amazing. This guy's living his actual best life.
He literally is in his dream life.
Yeah.
Which is arguably his real life.
Yeah, at this point, might as well, make the switch.
Mm-hmm.
What is reality anyways?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I don't.
Nobody does. They might pretend like they do, but they don't.
Well, hey, what else you got for Steve?
I think that's all I got.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, hey, thanks, Steve.
And all that jazz.
And up next, we have an untitled story by the Prismatics 19.
Hell yeah, we do. Okay, so I will say for myself, it was a huge, huge, huge shock at the end when it was like, her name is Amber. I was like, oh, shit. That's what we're talking about. Did we know Bradley's name before?
I think so.
Okay, because I had forgotten that.
Yeah.
I had forgotten I didn't know who this was. I thought this was a whole new story. But then when it was like, my name is Amber or whatever, I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah. And even if you did know who Bradley was going into this, I think it's still a valid shock because we don't know that this is going back prior to the events that we had. But the way this is done without dialogue, how did that work for you? Like this whole meet cute without dialogue.
For me, this was the most effective dialogueless story.
I tend to agree with you.
Yeah, I thought this was sans dialogue perfect.
Yeah, like sans dialogue nirvana.
Yeah, it was sans dialogue moksha, if you will.
Sure.
Will you?
Oh, I will.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, this is what I'm talking about. When I say no dialogue, this is what I am talking about. About.
This is it.
This is what I am talking about. Syllabically.
As you add syllables.
Right. And also I just wanted to go to Marvel's.
Yeah. Sounds like my kind of joint.
Totally. It sounds like, honestly, the type of thing that I might have done when I lived in Austin somehow. I don't know. It just took me back there,
Yeah. Yeah, the description of Marvel's as well as, primarily the descriptions of this first interaction between Bradley and Amber. It's so cute.
It is.
It's so dang cute.
It's so dang
cute.
So dang.
I especially love the 3 little tiny sentences in the middle. She turned, she smiled, he melted.
Yeah. That was good.
That's wonderful. I love the simplicity of that.
That was very good.
Yeah. It's this show, don't tell, like embodied, like in those 3 sentences alone. It's just so effective. And I think the reason it's so effective is because you give us so much to work off of leading up to those moments, and just how Bradley feels about this woman who we find out is Amber eventually.
Yes. And it just sounds so like even before Amber comes along, it's like he was drinking alone. So when he is home once a week, he will head down to Marvel's and have a few beers, then walk home with a buzz and look at the city at night, enraptured by the twinkling of the lights that replace the stars for him. For me, somehow that was like one of the most beautiful lines.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's applying a quality to the scene.
Yeah, but also it reminds me of...
Yeah, it's so good.
When I lived in Mongolia. when I first moved there before I made friends, and I would get hammered on vodka and then walk around.
As the Mongolians are wont to do.
Oh, yes. And then I would walk around the town in the frigid cold and just look at the clear sky and the stars and be fucked up. It was so beautiful.
Honestly, yeah, I can imagine the night sky in Mongolia is something to behold.
Oh, it is something to behold, and especially when you're fucked up.
It's something to be enraptured by.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I would literally just sit there like on a bench in the middle of the town, just feeling so warm and fuzzy from that vodka, looking at the stars. That's what it reminded me of. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Very good description there.
Walk home with a buzz. Look at the city at night, enraptured by twinkling of the lights that replaced the stars for him. I really like that.
Yeah.
The twinkling lights of the city that replaced the stars for him.
Because they do. Touche.
Well, yeah. Yeah, they absolutely do. But they're not necessarily any less beautiful.
Yeah, it's just a different. Well, okay.
I mean,
arguably they're a little less beautiful, but
I mean, stars are like infinite.
They're kind of
yeah.
But it's a different kind of beauty.
It is, and it's not without its own form of beauty. I guess I should put it that way.
Right.
I really like these descriptions, and it seems like where Prismatics really excels is these descriptions that we get. They're very creative. They're effective, and they're generally quite succinct. Like, you're not spending a ton of time trying to explain to us how Bradley feels and what he's looking at. You do it. He's got a buzz on, and he's looking at the city lights that replace the stars. It's very effective, and I don't know how else to describe it. It's just beautiful. It really works.
It really does. I like how he describes Amber as being the most gorgeous woman he had ever seen, yet she did not look like the societal ideal of like the most gorgeous woman, you know?
Since he's a fashion photographer,
right?
He's taking pictures of models.
He's around that all the time.
Yeah.
But he's like, you know what that reminds me of? My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
How so?
Because whenever he was talking to his friend at the very beginning, the guy, you've seen it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't worry, I cook lamb.
Okay. All right. At the beginning, the husband, who becomes the husband, is talking to his friend. His friend is like, I wanna hook you up with, what is that term? Meet you up with? Match
set you up
with. Set you, that's the word. I want to set you up with.
Or ship you.
Oh, what?
So, before you go off on this story.
Yeah, tell me.
There was a time somebody, I can't remember who it is, mentioned, like, I would ship them. I think that may have been Ace of Sword.
Wow, yeah.
So,
we were like,
it could have been Nick. Yeah, it doesn't matter, but we sounded so old and ignorant.
Is that a young person thing?
Or I don't know. I just felt so inadequate to be running a podcast.
By the way, I didn't feel inadequate at all.
Okay. Because
just like,
we're watching Superstore, and it came up like 3 times in that show.
Super what?
Superstore?
Well,
it's a show.
Okay.
With America Ferrera.
Okay. Yeah, I know America Ferrera.
Yeah, she's the
Ugly Betty.
Yeah, she's the main actress in Superstore.
Okay, and so ship you means set you up with?
Yeah, I was totally shipping you guys, like relationship.
Oh.
Shipping.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's a youngin'.
Cool.
The thing the youngins say.
Yeah, I don't actually feel any older by knowing that, and I definitely don't feel lame, or ignorant. But what I do feel is that I am receiving additional evidence in the ever-evolving nature of language.
Okay, fine.
No, it is.
I mean, it is. You're right.
It is, because there's always new terms coming up, you know? Always. And there were when we were fucking 16 or whatever, and there are now and there will be for eternity.
True. You were mentioning Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Right. Sorry. His friend was trying to ship him with this girl, and he shows him her picture, and she's kind of like the cheerleader looking type or whatever. But for them, I think it's like the Jersey Shore type or whatever, because they're like Greek / they're in the Northeast. Anyway, and he's like, I don't even no, I don't want to go on a date with her. And his friend is like, why? She's hot. And he's like, no, she looks the same as the last girl that I went on a date with, and the one before that, and the one before that. Like, it's just all the same. It's just cookie cutter.
Yeah.
And I feel that's what I thought of when I read this. And I was like, Amber, she doesn't look like the fashion model or whatever. I'm sure she's gorgeous.
Yeah. But that sounds like that's working in her favor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's not this cookie cutter. She doesn't have this cookie cutter look.
She has a personality even about her look.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Not that someone who's a model doesn't necessarily have a personality about their look.
No, it's really not a commentary on the way that models look. It's a commentary on the way that society views their look.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
As being like ideal, but according to who?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
This paragraph describing Amber, he was finding it hard to size her up, though, as her features seemed to have no ability to be unaccentuated. She has innately accentuated features.
Yes.
Yeah. It was possible that the most gorgeous woman he had ever seen was standing right next to him, and it isn't that the way it should be for love at first sight?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Beautiful.
A person can have any number of flaws, but when it comes down to it, those flaws will be beauty marks for the person that loves them. Absolutely true. And I feel like I may have heard that statement even in that many words. Like that sounds very familiar to me. That strikes me as familiar. Beauty marks for the person that loves them.
Yeah.
Those with regards to their flaws. Either way, if it's borrowed, stolen, whatever, it's beautiful. I love that idea that no matter what, if you love somebody, every aspect of who they are is lovely to you. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Totally.
Yeah, I love that idea.
It is. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that whole paragraph leading up to the she turned, she smiled, he melted. That whole paragraph is just perfect.
It is. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful. I got lost in the story. I mean, maybe I should have realized that we were talking about characters we'd already been introduced to, but I think because I got so enmeshed in the story, and also because I'm a dumbass, I didn't realize. But mostly because I got enmeshed in the story.
Yeah. And following those three lines, at first the conversation staggered, but that was simply the warming of two people who had had plenty of reasons to not be warm. From a prompt where we're asking you to not use dialogue, I thought that was a very creative way to walk us around dialogue.
Yeah.
It's awkward conversation, but it's just because it's not easy to warm up to somebody.
Yeah, and honestly, for me, that line made me think about their baggage. It's like, yeah, they've been jaded.
Yeah,
that's what I read in that was they've been jaded. They have plenty of reasons to not give it a chance.
Yeah, not only that, but again, from a dialogue less prompt, that's a great way to walk us through that kind of mentality, whether it's jaded or just awkward or whatever it may be. That's a very clever and succinct way to clue us into this conversation without actually having it.
Right.
So I thought that even if this may just be like an exercise, you nailed it.
Yeah.
Trying to do this meetup without any dialogue in the story. I thought this was very fun to read.
Same.
I think for that reason, there's no dialogue.
Same. That's why I feel like this one really was exactly what I was wanting with that prompt of no dialogue, you know?
Yeah.
It exactly hit the mark for me.
I'd agree.
Yeah. One note about the last line, because I saw that Steve commented, "Isn't it late to call your mom or something? Aren't most moms asleep at this time?" Well, for me, I can say that my mom is a night owl, and so if some crazy shit oh my god, this shit is and I would get online and see that my mom was online and message her and call her, you know, and if I was like driving home from somewhere at like 2 a.m., she would call me and be like, "I just wanted to talk you home," because being a night owl, you know? So that's absolutely feasible.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love this story.
Me too.
Very well done, as always, Prismatics.
God, get over yourself. Shit.
Jesus, that's enough, Prismatics.
Okay, we get it.
We get it.
You're good at writing shit. Congrats.
Fine,
we
whatever.
Don't care. We don't even care.
No, I do care, and it's wonderful.
I know, we do care.
Every time I see these stories, like I feel like a proud papa. Like it's just like this is so wonderful. This is it's just so fun to come to stories like this. Yeah, thank you, Prismatics.
Thank you. It was beautiful, and to me, you win as far as meeting the prompt.
Yes. And our last story for this week is Alley to Everywhere by Richie Posher.
Richie Posher.
Which this is a little truncated as stories go, and it sounds like Richie's had a tough time of it here recently.
He's had a go of it.
Mm-hmm. So
I have something to say about this.
Go for it.
It's really funny because whenever I read stories, I'm like, this is definitely what inspired this person. No doubt. And I don't know if I'm right or not. I feel like I'm probably usually not.
I think we had a conversation about this before.
Did we? Okay.
Where you're like, I have this innate ability to know exactly what people are saying or what they're thinking.
Right.
And then it turns out, no, I had no idea.
No, yeah, totally. No, I feel so confident and so sure.
Yeah.
But I feel so confident, Richie, that you were inspired by The Magician's Nephew.
Which we've talked about. That's C.S. Lewis?
Yes.
Yeah. I know a thing.
The World Between Worlds.
Yeah.
You know a thing.
Yeah. I know a thing.
That, to me, the alley to everywhere is the world between worlds. Richie, prove me wrong. That's all.
Fair. Yeah, so I'm really interested by this. Just the very simple 2 paragraphs that we have. I say really simple. The 2 paragraphs that we get here.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
I am too.
I'm just really curious. Like, where were you going with this? Because it's such a fascinating concept, especially when you factor in the title, Alley to Everywhere.
Right.
Like, that just sounds magical.
It sounds like the world between worlds.
I mean, without having read The Magician's Nephew, I'll say sure.
Yeah.
But just the same, like this.
You know what else it reminds me of, though? Is on Mary Poppins.
All right. Headed down that path. All right.
No, headed up that path.
Okay. Headed across that path.
Is the chimney smoke staircases, which go from brownstone to brownstone. Have you seen Mary Poppins?
Not in at least 3 decades.
Oh. Alrighty. Well,
I was a weein'.
Oh.
Last time I watched that.
Oh, see, I've seen it. I watched it a couple weeks ago.
Oh, kick ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Jim Chimney.
Yes.
Jim Chimney.
It was, dang it, what was his name?
Sweet is as lucky as
It's like on
be.
the edge of my brain. His name in Mary Poppins. But anyway,
we'll just call him Dick.
Yeah, let's call him Dick. Dick takes Mary and the kids up into the chimney and on these chimney smoke staircases, which go between the houses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's just like a secret magical passageway
Okay.
across town to different houses. It's magical.
Yeah.
This is what this is like.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, it
Bert.
really is.
Bert
Bert?
is his name.
What an unfortunate name. Bert. It reminds me of a Family Guy joke. It's like, what is the most unattractive male first name in the English language? Thanks for a minute. Keith. Anyway, that's what it made me think of. It's like Bert is just an unfortunate name for anybody.
It really is. It really is. But in a British accent, it's not so bad. But
yeah. Come here, Bert.
Come here, Bert. But yeah, this is the chimney smoke staircase passageway.
Okay. Yeah. I like this sentence. It felt like, well, cheating wasn't the right word, but like some sort of magic.
Mm-hmm.
He viewed it as a portal open just for him, and he could take it all over town.
Right.
Yeah. I see exactly how you landed there.
Right. Exactly.
I was getting more modern connections. I was thinking like the fireplaces in Harry Potter.
Oh, that's amazing too, though.
Yeah.
That's also magically amazing.
Literally magically amazing. Yeah.
Well, Bert's staircases were also literally magically amazing. I mean, yeah. But that's fun.
Yeah, and the second paragraph is just one sentence. He had loved this ever since he was a kid, when he surprised his friends by beating them to the grocery store for popsicles on a hot summer afternoon, when the shade of the buildings blanketed the alleys and he could find a cool place to rest.
That's beautiful.
That is beautiful. That's a wonderful sentence.
That is a wonderful sentence paragraph.
Yeah.
Should we call that a sentence graph or
a parentence?
I was going to say a parents.
Parents. It just sounds like you're saying parents. Because we're saying parents.
Yeah, okay, a paratence.
Paratence.
A paratence. I think it should be a paratence, yes.
Or a centigraph.
Oh, I like that.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. High five.
High five.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, centigraph.
A centigraph. I love this centigraph. And it's beautiful and it's very evocative, and it makes me think that in following installments, which I do believe that Richie said he was interested in creating.
Yeah.
There should be more food descriptions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Frankly, stories that include food and their descriptions and like their significance, those, I really latch on to those descriptions.
Same.
Even if it's fantasy. Like if it's food, like I can't necessarily comprehend, just go ahead and explain it to me.
Right.
Like it adds such culture and richness, and also I just get hungry.
It's same. I'm so interested that you said that, because since I was little and first started binge reading, it's those descriptions of food. And I remember that I would read Heidi. What the fuck? Heidi.
You keep saying it like it's going to suddenly mean something to me. I knew a Heidi.
Okay. Well, it wasn't her. It was this like...
It wasn't her.
I don't think so. It was a Swiss girl.
Swiss?
Yeah.
I would have assumed German. Anyway.
No, Swiss.
Okay.
It was not German. She's probably German Swiss. But
okay.
Anyway. Heidi. Okay, so I started reading this when I was very young, and I just remembered something. Heidi was either Swiss or no, she was Swiss, but there was like some Swedish people somewhere in some books that I was reading.
Okay.
And I remember I was like 8, and I would take a picnic of a cheese sandwich and chicken noodle soup to the backyard and camp out there and just read.
Heidi.
Yes. When I was like 8. And
That's
then
adorable.
I know. And then I would come in and my mom would be hanging out in the kitchen and I would be like, do you think that I could be part Swiss? And she would be like, yeah, look at that blonde hair. Yeah, for sure. And I'm like, are you sure? Positive? And she's like, yeah, yes, you have to be part Swiss for sure. I'm pretty sure that we have a great great grandmother. She would make shit up.
Yeah.
Just to
just to placate you. Yeah.
Yeah. But in Heidi, there were these descriptions of food and the cheese and the milk.
Yeah. Again, they're just sometimes I really wish we had video on this podcast. The face, the hand gestures, the cheese, the milk.
And it was just so immaculate, the description. Descriptions. And I was like, I want to be there. I want to be tasting that cheese.
I want to be that cheese.
I want to be that cheese. I want to be with that cheese.
Wherever that cheese is, I want to be there.
I want to be there. Take me there. But just the descriptions of food, yes, they bring you in, they pull you in, they suck you in, and you're just like, yes. And it's like what's that word that I used last week?
God. This podcast has just been turned into, well, what's that word? What's that word? I'm sure I don't know.
It's a biological
imperative?
Yes, that's the one who said it last time too.
Oh, God.
It's a biological imperative to eat food.
Yeah, well, yes.
That really latches us on to, literature.
Yeah.
All that.
Okay, so to what you're saying, you said, and let me see if I can quote.
Yeah.
It is the biological imperative that we must eat food that makes us latch onto literature.
That's what I said.
Yeah. Okay, I just want to make sure that was right.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
And I said it in a very roundabout way because it took seems that it's been about 30 minutes.
At least 20. Yeah.
Right. But yes, that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I wholly believe that if you want to take on nonfiction, a great place to jump in is the food.
Hell yes.
Because there's so much that you can glean from that, just the food that's being eaten.
Yeah.
It could imply time, geography,
ingredients,
nationality,
region. You said geography, but like whatever is indigenous to that area.
Exactly. Yeah. And even like in American culture, like what food that you're eating could determine. It's like you're eating deep dish pizza. Oh God, you're in Chicago,
right?
Probably.
Yeah, totally.
Or simple things like that. Like it's such a great way to add detail.
Oh yeah.
In places that you wouldn't necessarily expect food to add certain details.
But it absolutely does because
yes, it does.
Food is like one of the most, or if not the most basic things that we experience as humans.
Yeah. And it's been around like forever.
Well, yeah. It's one of the first things that was created. I think.
Food? Yeah.
Let there be food.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like, are you eating, is there grits? All right, we're in the deep south.
Mm-hmm.
Are there Navajo flatbreads? Okay, we're in the southwest.
Yeah. Is there pasta or are there noodles?
Right.
Yeah. Pasta, you're either in our house on Thursdays or you're in Italy.
Right.
Yeah.
Or the Northeast where there's Italians.
Also, yes. Yeah. Yeah. So all that to say, food is a very cool way to give us some details as far as a lot of stuff. Everything we mentioned, culture, geography, nationality.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So never shy away from descriptions of food.
No.
Wait, what else you got for Richie?
I think that's all I've got, honestly.
Yeah, and somehow we managed to talk this long off of your Centigraph.
Wow. Oh, I love it. Centigraph. That's so good.
Yeah, that's solid. I'm proud of that.
That is fucking wow. Even more than the embarrassment that I feel for not thinking of that myself, I am thrilled that it exists and proud of you for thinking of it.
Well, I'm sure you can take some credit.
I don't take
because
any.
you were the first to portmanteauism it.
That's true. But I'd like to make sure that everyone understands that when we say centigraph,
yeah,
the way you spell that is SENTEGRAPH. It's not CENTI, which would mean 100.
You're correct. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. SE.
Right.
NTEGRAPH.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Centigraph.
Centigraph.
That's a spelling bee all of a sudden.
I love
Centigraph.
it.
Can you use that in a sentence?
S-E. I remember when I used to watch those like National Spelling Bees, and you could see like the sweat furrowing on their brow.
It's so stressful.
It's so stressful.
And I'm not even there. I'm eating popcorn.
Just like not breathing. Just like not inhaling. Dehaling.
Exhaling. Dehaling. Dehaling.
Just hailing. That means you're not doing anything, actually. You're not breathing. Corpses are dehaling. No, they're hailing. HALING.
As mentioned, that is all of our stories for this week.
Yes.
So, shout outs to first moridinamael for being selected here today, as well as Walker by Faith, Nick to You, Steve Living Room, The Prismatics 19, and Richie Posier. And Ace of Sword, we saw your story, did not have a chance to read it. I'm sorry.
I read it, but...
Oh, you did?
I did.
I never had a chance
to
read it. So, I'm sorry we can't get to it this week, but we're thrilled to have you with us, just the same.
We are so thrilled.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Ace of Sword. I'm looking forward to reading what appears to be your next entry into Thicker Than Blood.
Actually, I didn't read it. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I thought I did, but I didn't.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to reading your story, Current Events. So thank you. And that moves us into episode 29.
29.
And
when I was 29.
Stop it. Stop it. So for episode 29, we issued a music prompt, and you can find the link to this music prompt over on the subreddit under episode 29.
It is lovely.
I'm not going to lie. I love that music prompt.
It is so good.
It is so good. And I also posted a link to the original live performance. She is a brilliant classical guitarist, so I highly encourage you. It's 1 hour video. If you enjoy classical guitar, you could
Who doesn't?
You could do far worse than Anna Vidovic. She's exceptional.
All I know for sure is that this prompt is exceptional.
I agree, and for what it's worth, it's a piece I had never heard before. It's a Croatian composer that wrote it.
Really?
Yeah. It's kind of out of left field. Not very common.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyways, episode 29, and the words to accompany this are precede, ritual, moral, sulfur, and variable.
Is that precede?
Precede.
All right. Precede is to go before.
That's about it, right?
Yeah, like it is a verb. It cannot be a noun, and it cannot be an adjective. Nope.
Then I'll offer a question can you explain the difference between precede and supersede?
Supersede is to go above.
Above.
Yeah, super means above. Pre means before.
So is before a preposition?
Yes.
So it's just a difference in preposition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Right on.
Yeah.
How about ritual?
Ritual, interestingly, it always blows my students' minds when I tell them that the TUA is pronounced like a ch, like a CH. They're like, no, it's a T and a U and an A. And I'm like, yes, bitch. That's fucking phonology. Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So
it makes me want to pronounce it ritual.
Yeah, ritual.
Ritual.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Ritual can be a noun or an adjective.
Okay.
A ritual sacrifice.
Yeah.
You know? Ritual in a noun form, whatever. You know, it's a thing that you do for some type of sacred reason. Ritual. Something that you do not just for a sacred reason, but regularly. It's something that you just do.
Yeah, almost like another way to say routine.
Yeah, my daily ritual.
Yeah.
That's a more modern usage.
Yeah, you're right. That is more modern for sure.
Yeah, but that's how we use it. But like in the past it was used more as like a religious type of thing, you know?
Yeah, almost like a rite, RITE.
Mm-hmm.
A rite.
Yeah.
A ritual.
Mm-hmm. And actually those words come from the same root.
Yeah.
So
that tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ritual.
It strikes me as a kind of pagan word.
Oh. Really?
The reason I think of that is because every time I think of it, I think of Rite of Spring by Stravinsky.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Which is wonderful, by the way.
Is it paganistic?
Absolutely it is. Yeah. And there's so many fascinating stories about when that debuted in France that I want to say it was Debussy got up from his seat at the debut of the Rite of Spring in France and left because he was so offended.
Wow.
By the orchestration.
Are you
some nonsense like that.
That's
like
hilarious. Because
it starts
I
out,
will not have it.
Yeah, it starts out with like this really high bassoon of all things. Like it's playing in the register of like an oboe or an English horn. And it's just like the timbre of it is like really, I mean, for a modern audience, you'd be like, what is the problem? Like I don't hear anything. I just hear a bassoon or I hear a double reed, whatever. But Debussy's like, no, I won't. I don't like it. I want to say it was Debussy. There's a lot of stories about the premiere of Rite of Spring, but
I like the idea of people caring so much about something that they'll get up and walk out.
Yeah.
I like that. Is there anything in a concert that you would hear that you would be like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm out of here.
I'm sure there is.
Fuck you and the horse you rode in on.
I'm sure there is, but I have a feeling it's nothing to do with music and all to do with substance, if that makes sense.
Is there anything musically, though, that would just
offend me to the degree that I would walk out like Debussy?
Yeah, yes.
I'm having a really hard time thinking of anything because I've listened to some weird ass music.
Yeah.
That's usually what engages me the most. The weirder, the better.
Yeah.
Like, anyway.
Have you ever been so outraged by something like a formal performance or presentation that you have walked out?
Actually, yes.
Okay, tell me.
I walked out of the movie Hostel.
Oh.
Because I just didn't want to watch that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I left during the movie Hostel, and I to this day have not seen it.
Because you didn't like watching like the torture?
Yeah.
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 I respect that.
Yeah, I left. That's the only thing that I have left.
Oh, wow. No, I totally respect that because that's the reason that I never watched Hostel, because I knew that it was about torture. And I will watch people kill each other all day long. But when it comes to torture, I'm just like, I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
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 I respect the shit out of that.
How about moral?
Wait. I want to say something that I walked out of.
Okay. Yes. What did you walk out of?
I walked out of a graduate class on.
Oh shit.
Yes, on I can't remember if it was philosophical linguistics or linguistic philosophy.
Those are different?
I don't know, but I was so upset. I was outraged. I was morally outraged. I just could not. Wow, the whole time I was in that class for 2 weeks at the beginning of the semester. And I have never been so disgusted with course content. I was just like, you are telling me how to live my life.
Is that what it is though? Is it more of a philosophy class or was it more of a linguistics class?
That's the funny thing.
It was both, wasn't it? Horrible.
It was horrible. The first half was more philosophy and the second half was more linguistics. But it was still tying it all in together. And there were 2 professors.
Gross.
I know. And the professor who was more leading the more philosophy heavy part, I could not abide that bitch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've spent the first 2 weeks just sitting there, just being like,
mean mugging her the whole time.
Mean mugging him, just giving him a dirty look, but not intentionally. I just was so outraged by what he was saying that I was just like squinting eyes.
Just if you can like put the like, is there a face that just says like, no man, fuck you?
Exactly. I was doing that the whole time and like very slowly shaking my head, and I realized that like about 3 classes in, and I was like, I've got to get out of here. This is destroying me, and maybe them. But
yeah, could you
me.
imagine like just being a professor and like you just look up and like one student is always just shaking, just slowly shaking their head like, I am unimpressed. I am unimpressed.
Yeah, exactly. That's what was happening. And I was probably just like, I've got to get out of here.
This is not healthy for anybody, me being here. Least of all myself.
Me being here is not working for any of us. So I got the hell out and I joined
the army.
The circus. And I joined an advanced syntax class where I was like, yes.
Yes, these are my people.
People.
Thank God.
Oh, God. Oh, it was terrifying.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Oh, yes. Thank you for asking.
Yes, of
You
course.
didn't, but thank you.
Okay. Next word is moral.
Moral. This is the bottom line ethical lesson.
Moral.
Right. Yes. So the moral of the story is the bottom line ethical lesson of the story. Morals, you know, when it comes to having morals, means having ethical principles.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I would say it's the ethical principle.
Ethos.
The ethos, if you will.
Yeah.
Will you?
I will.
Okay. So it's a noun or it can be an adjective, the moral lesson. Whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. But not to be confused with morale, which is a completely different thing, and it ends with an E.
Yes. Thank you. I was like, is this morale?
Nope.
It's moral. Yeah.
It's moral.
Okay.
It's moral.
Okay. Next is sulfur.
Sulfur. This is an element.
It is.
And it smells bad.
Like rotten eggs.
Right.
Yeah.
Rotten eggs. Do rotten eggs have sulfur in them?
I think
actually
I want to say that it may be sulfur coming off of rotten. I don't know that for sure, but it could be.
I have read that these drugs such as Mounjaro and Wegovy
and what's the famous one?
Ozempic.
Thank you.
That they give you sulfur burps.
Ew.
That's what I've heard.
That's nasty.
I don't know if that's true. That's just what I've heard. That's all I have to say about sulfur.
Okay. Sulfur, as you mentioned, is an element. Mm-hmm. It is a I don't know this. I'm reading this. It is a non-metallic chemical element belonging to the oxygen group.
Huh.
Who'd have thunk?
Oxygen.
Group.
Interesting. Group.
I didn't know that was even a thing.
What is the code? What is the...
It's an S.
Just S?
For sulfur?
Yeah.
On the periodic table is S.
So how is it part of the oxygen group?
See, I don't know.
I'm imagining like S2O. No.
No, because that would be
disulfur oxide.
Sure, yeah. Let's say yes. I am, of all of the sciences, chemistry is the most like magic to me. I don't understand chemistry.
I concur.
Thank you.
I concur. I failed chemistry in high school.
Yikes.
I did. I actually didn't even graduate high school. Well, I did, but only because the chemistry teacher was like, whatever.
Fine, get out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, chemistry. Mm-hmm. Chemistry is a thing.
It's a thing.
It's so weird.
It's a puzzle.
I love physics. I hate chemistry. Cannot wrap my head around chemistry.
To me, chemistry is like math.
To me, it's like magic. Like if it was like math, it would make more sense to me. Like it feels unto itself like no other form of science is. Like physics is so much like math and algebra, where chemistry I feel like is not. I don't know. Chemistry has such weird relationships with other aspects of science that it just felt so alien. But anyway, yeah, sulfur.
Right. So that's sulfur for you.
That's sulfur. And our last word is variable. Speaking of math.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Variable can very much be a noun or a verb, an adjective. As a noun, it's like a math thing, like a variable.
Yeah.
Like an X or a Y, am I right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But as an adjective, which is the way that I am more familiar with, it's like it varies. It's variable. The weather of West Texas is quite variable.
Yes.
It is
evidenced by the last week.
Right.
Where it was stupid cold last week. And yesterday, it was actually kind of hot.
Right.
It was like 80 degrees.
Oh, yeah. Last week, it was colder than I remember it being here for like many years. But yeah, this week it's hot.
Yeah.
It's very variable.
Quite.
Yes.
Quite.
Would you like to expound upon the definition of variable as a noun?
As a noun in mathematics, a variable is I don't have the right word for it, but like as you mentioned, X or Y are variables in algebra. So it's an
unnamed entity.
Yeah, it's a placeholder for something that can vary,
right?
So as a variable. It's been so long since I've actually studied math that I've lost basically all of the lingo. But so you can solve for a variable, like if you have a y equals like x something something, that's a linear equation of some kind that will give you multiple answers depending on the variable. Yeah.
The line.
Yeah.
I remember that vaguely.
Yeah, and then you also have exponential linear equations and so on and so on and so on.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of maybe remember part of it.
And then you get into calculus with limits.
I did not do calculus.
Okay.
I was kicked out before that.
I took calculus. I remember exactly none of it.
Okay.
It's all gone.
Yeah.
I used none of it. So it's like I never learned it.
Yeah.
Cool, right?
Wow. My path was chosen for me as soon as they said, you're not smart enough for algebra. You have to go to pre-algebra. They didn't say those words, but they kicked me out of algebra and sent me to pre-algebra.
Oh.
Along with other people.
Other degenerates.
Yes. And at that point I was like, I am bad at math. I just don't know this.
At one point in my life, in high school, I was good at math.
Mm-hmm.
And then I never touched it again.
What if you did it now? Do you think you'd be good at it?
I actually think I would really enjoy just simple math problems.
I wish there were adult math classes.
I'm sure there are.
There are in jail.
I'm sure you can go to the university and pay top dollar for adult math classes.
Oh, right. Adults, yes. But like, adult, like just
like
for fun.
Not thousands of dollars.
Right. Just like for fun. Leisure.
Like math puzzles. I'm sure that exists somewhere. You can probably find math puzzles.
Math light. LITE.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Not like a math flashlight.
No. That'd be cool too, though.
That would be dope. You turn on a flashlight, it says y equals x squared.
Right.
And it has a parabola.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The parabola.
Yeah.
Yeah. The parable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. We
discussed this.
We've been here before.
Yeah. This is trodden
soil.
This
smacks of familiarity.
It smacks. Well, if you want to be like these wonderful writers and submit your story to You Write, head on over to our subreddit at reddit.com/r/YouWritePod.
If you're unable to submit a story this week, that's fine. You can help out by reading and commenting on other people's stories.
Each time you post a story or leave a comment on someone else's submission, you increase your chances of having your story read on the podcast.
You can also reach us at youwritepod@gmail.com.
And if you like our show and want to help support us, consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/YouWrite.
If you're unable to donate, that's fine too.
That's fine.
You can help us by sharing the podcast with other writers and non-writers alike.
And if you haven't already, just subscribe to the podcast. Like, I don't even know why we're talking about it still.
No.
Like, you should all be subscribed by now.
Why are we still saying this?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I thought you were going to finish the sentence. Also, we're wrong. We're off.
What did we miss?
I don't know. Also, be sure to leave us a rating and a review in your podcatcher of choice.
We will be reading one review on each episode, so get creative.
And remember, join us next week on You Write,
a podcast where you write.
Where? Us. And then.
See y'all next week.
What we would choose to do.